Okay, hello everybody. This video will feature a topic which is very serious. And for that reason, I didn't want any special effects. I didn't want any promotions. I just kind of wanted it to be raw and straight to the point. We all know about the situation that's happening in the Ukraine, in Eastern Europe in general, at this moment. For that reason, I've been contacted by a number of iTalki teachers and students asking about how it's affected my experience on iTalki. So today I'm going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about why it's taken me up to this point to actually make a video about this, and what's to expect in the future. And of course, I'm going to be sharing my experience over the past couple weeks. Okay, so first of all, why did I wait to make this video? Well, it goes without saying that on my channel, I want it to be open to everybody. I want it to be inclusive. I don't want political issues to be the forefront of what I do, unless if they are issues which are directly related to the lives of teachers, right? In which case, they are definitely. So that's one reason why I waited. Another reason is because I just wanted to wait and see what would happen, right? Um, so basically, people were asking me right from the get-go how this is affecting their bookings, how it's affecting my bookings, for example, or my experience in general. And this is more than just booking. So that's why I am labeling this video my experience, because I'm going to talk about in a second why just kind of boiling this down to bookings could actually be problematic, right? And the last reason is basically what I was just saying. Um, the fact that this could be looked at as how it affects our daily lives in terms of how many bookings, how many students, how many classes we get. And that for me kind of ties into, it speaks to a larger issue in the marketization of language learning and language teaching. This is something that I have spoken about before, how a lot of students are kind of treated as they're quantified, right? They're treated as numbers, they're categorized, they're kind of dehumanized in a way, right? And they're looked at for their financial utility. And actually, a lot of teachers are looked at in the same way on iTalki, right? So I've spoken about that before, and that's one of the reasons, especially in a situation which is so grim and so severe and serious right now. I thought that I wouldn't kind of just jump right on it and make a video, but here we are. You have questions, and you have every right to have questions because a lot of your livelihoods are on the line right here, right? This will affect your day-to-day lives. And of course, I have the right to answer your questions because I am iTalki teacher Ryan, right? So now I'm going to talk about some of the changes which I have experienced in the past couple weeks from this crisis that is happening right now. Okay, so first of all, I want to talk about the affect, the emotion. Um, I have cried many times. My students have cried many times. We have had very emotional and very serious discussions. As most of you know, I have very tight relationships with my students. Now, what does this mean for you? Well, if you're a new iTalki teacher, you may not have built that rapport with your students yet. You may not have gotten to the point where you're very close with your students. Um, it still applies to you. However, I'll talk about bookings in a moment, but I have had new students come into my iTalki classes um, over the past week who have basically said right off the bat how they're doing. Like, I obviously start every class making small talk, asking how you're doing, and they have not beat around the bush. They have told me exactly how they're doing. It's been, I am not happy. I'm very worried for the safety of myself, for the safety of my children. We want to get out of here and immigrate to another country. And by the way, I'm talking about a lot of my students from Russia when I'm speaking about this right here. Um, so the affect has been a very important thing. So for long-term teachers, you may have built relationships with your students where they're comfortable, talking to you about this kind of stuff. And especially if they are in Eastern Europe, this may take its toll on you, right? And that's why it's taken its toll on me as well. But at the end of the day, it's my students who are really suffering from this. So for newer teachers, what I would say is this is a situation of all situations to be patient, to be understanding, and to listen. And for those of you who are just starting out, just you may very well see that you will have some students who are under a lot of duress and a lot of stress, right? And this kind of goes into the extra uh, what we're not trained to do in teacher education programs. And it could be difficult at certain times, but at the same time, it could be refreshing, and it could be a way to build bridges for brighter futures and stronger relationships with your students. So these could be some critical moments in your classes where you could really be able to, hopefully, as long as your students approach you with these situations within reason, this could be an opportunity for you to actually respond in reasonable ways, which actually facilitate a stronger relationship with your students, right? So, of course, we want to look at the glass half full, and that's one way to do it. So, even for me, after teaching 3,300 lessons, it takes its toll, right? And it is very, very real. What's happening right now? Another thing I'd like to talk about are bookings, right? And that's what a lot of people want to hear about, right? Bookings. How is this affecting the traffic to my profile and how many people that I'm actually attracting? Well, to be brutally honest with you, it's actually driven a lot of students to my profile, particularly for IELTS preparation. A lot of my students want to take IELTS because, I anyway, and from Eastern Europe in general anyway. But I had a segment of students who were still kind of believed in the fact that the possibility that there could be a future in the country for them. And over this past week, um, over these past 2 weeks, it's really come to a head that it's the last straw. And many of my students are in one country one day and another country the next, right? We know what's happening with the sanctions and what's happening with the different companies and different businesses pulling out. For that reason, some of my students are unable to pay on iTalki, right? So this definitely takes its toll, but as I said, my students have dispersed. A lot of them have gone to different countries. Some of them have separated from their families to do this. It's a very emotional time, but I have gotten probably the largest wave of new students that I've gotten in the past year, right? But again, we are not we're it's I'm trying not to quantify this because this is not a positive for me. If this could have never happened, I would choose that route. But again, we're not going to dive into politics and what I think about this. At the end of the day, this is the situation. So for those of you who want to know and have a right to know, I have gotten more bookings over the past couple weeks. Most of them have been for IELTS preparation, right? Yep, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So now I want to talk about, and I'll answer some questions in just a second. Moving forward, what this means moving forward. Um, it's still very early, right? It's still very early. Some of my students loaded up money onto iTalki before certain sanctions happen and certain cuts with banks happen. For that reason, they're still able to pay for lessons, but some of them will not be able to pay for lessons in the future to put money on in the future. I know there are some language teaching platforms that are no longer paying people from Russia or teachers from Russia, such as Preply, which is I believe, a Ukrainian-based organization based in Kiev. So there are a lot of changes that are happening, and it's fairly early right now. So we'll see how things go, and I'll be sure to keep all of you up to date. But I know that this could be stressful for certain iTalki teachers, new teachers, teachers who have been around for a while, and it's a conversation that we need to have, right? That so what I'm saying here is that if any of you want to share your experience in the comment section below, please do so. Um, this is, yeah, not over. Unfortunately, it's far from over, but it would be good for us to share our experiences so that other italki teachers know what to be aware of. And it could be on the booking side, or it could be more on the affect side and the emotion side, and how you're dealing with your students who are coming to you and kind of unloading their feelings onto you. The final note I'll leave you with is that I'm offering free lessons. A lot of my students, whether they be from Russia or the Ukraine, which a lot of them are, or from Brazil or Korea. A lot of my students I consider to almost be cousins, teaching some of my students for 100, 150 lessons, 200 lessons. It really creates a rhythm and a relationship, right? So for that reason, I began doing, and I've spoken about this on my profile before, but I began giving free lessons. I'm going to give my second free lesson today. These are group lessons. These are hour-long weekly group lessons. If any of you are interested in taking free English lessons, by the way, they're open to people from any nationality. What's happening in Eastern Europe is not unique to Eastern Europe. This is something that, unfortunately, different variations of this happen on a daily basis in other places as well. Um, I'm human, so of course, since a lot of my students are from there, and I and a lot of my students have been affected by this, and I've built relationships with them. It does take a different kind of toll on me, but this is something I've wanted to do for a long time as my prices have gone up, is to start offering one weekly free lesson, right? A group lesson for all levels. Basically, I have a PowerPoint presentation that we go through. There are a couple activities with different digital tools. And then there's a breakout room activity with my students. It's all via Zoom. Yeah. All that you have to do is reach out to me at online English teacher Ryan. Okay. Sorry, online English teacher Ryan at gmail.com. I'll post the email in the box below. So let me know if any of your students want free lessons, or if you are learning English and you want a free lesson. If you're interested in teaching and volunteering to teach, then let me know as well. As I said, this is open to students of all nationalities, okay? And students of all levels, right? Realistically, it's more at the caliber of intermediate or advanced, but if lower level students want some sort of exposure in real time, synchronous exposure to what it's like to teach, to learn online, then they could come on by, okay? Yeah, so that's all you have to do. I've reached out to different organizations, and they've put me into contact with different students. Um, on a positive note, it's been surreal to see some of my italki students in a class together, because I've just spoken to them one-on-one for so long. So it's really like wild to actually speak to them as a group. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. Okay. Any of you are welcome to reach out to me in the future if you have any questions about that. All right. So that's pretty much it for now. I'll probably make another update in the future if any of you find that helpful. Okay. For any of you who are leaving right now, please stay safe, and and all the best of luck to you. And if anyone has questions, go ahead and ask me a question. If anyone would like to share their experience, go ahead and share your experience. I'll stick around for about 10 minutes. Okay, so we have La Diva du Theater. La Diva du Theatre. I'm very happy that you're speaking about it. Okay, I'm living in Russia and PayPal stopped working. Yeah, so teachers living in Russia cannot. Okay, there you go. So this is not just Preply, I guess. So this is for iTalki teachers. I'm still working at the platform. I don't want to lose my students, but I feel helpless. Yeah. Yeah. I have something like 600. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. And a lot of students are in the exact that they feel the same way when you say I feel confiscated from. Yeah. Yep. I'm so sorry to hear about that. Yeah. And definitely if like this is the thing, right? I mean, I'm a lot of my students needing English lessons. First of all, they need safety at this point and security, but a lot of my students need to improve their English. I'm an English teacher. That's what I could provide. And for that reason, that's why I'm offering these free lessons. So I hope it could be helpful to other people. So if anybody else has a question or a comment, wants to share their experience, go ahead and put it in the chat. Um, I'll stick around for a couple minutes. Oh, Gmork. It's great to see you again, Gmork. I forget your real name, but it's great to see you. I've seen your name so many times over the past couple years. But I'm so sorry about what's happening. I expanded my hours over 12 hours a day to help fill the 60 to 70% loss. Yeah, have you changed your hours? Nope. So I haven't changed my hours. As some of you may know, a lot of the students who come to me come through referrals, right? So I tell my students, if you know somebody who wants to learn English, like let them know. And if they book with me, then I'll give you a little discount, right? So that's one thing I do. Um, it's hard to really navigate like find a way around this right now with the economic situation if a lot of your students are from Russia anyway and some of them can't pay um, but yeah, thankfully yeah thankfully a lot of my students have been able to refer other people. um, yeah, so I haven't changed my hours at all, but I'm very fortunate about that. Okay. And doing these free classes. By the way, I know a lot of teachers are not in the position where they could do free classes, right? That's one of the situations. A lot of teachers are just trying to get students on iTalki, never mind trying to like give free classes. But it could be a good way to form connections, to develop your teaching style and your teaching quality, and to potentially reach out to new students as well. Okay, no problem, Latifa. I hope everything goes better, and reach out to me on Instagram, italki teacher Ryan, or my email if you're interested. If any of you would like to see the free classes I give, I've uploaded one of them on my YouTube channel, English Teacher Ryan. And I'll be teaching another one of those classes in a couple hours, and I'll be uploading another video just in case if any of you and teachers are welcome to sit in and take a gander at what Ryan's like in real life if you want to. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. So again, I'm sorry to start your mornings or your day or to end your day wherever you are on a seemingly negative note, but I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation. For people who are watching this after it's posted, please let me know. Um, yeah, please let me know in the comment section if you have any questions, if there's anything I could do for you. Okay. Elena, hosting these classes on iTalki. Good question. No, it's completely off iTalki. It's on Zoom. I'd like to do that too, but how can I make group classes? Yeah, well, actually, I do it on through Zoom, right? And typically you have to pay, but luckily I have a job which gives me a Zoom account, right? So I'm not sure how much it costs monthly to have like a Zoom class, but if it's not too pricey, then that could be one possibility. But anyway, Elena, even if it's one-to-one classes that you teach via like Skype or Google Meet or something like that, that could help a student as well. But as I said, not everybody has the time to be giving free classes, and I don't, and that's why I only give one free class. It's only once per week right now. All right. So I'm doing what I can, but if any of you would like to be added to this list to give free classes, then send me an email, online English teacher Ryan at gmail.com. Ryan, gmail.com. Okay. Well, I think that's about it. All right. So we're going to wrap things up right there. Okay. So everybody, I wish the very best to you, and keep smiling. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye now.